Nobody should pay their taxes this year. This is absurd what's going on. We don't have representation. We have owners.
Just remember, the Freudian slips are coming fast and furious. Now, I'm sure you've seen this. I don't think you've seen it, Jen. But leave it to Ted Cruz because, of course, he's the person who always tells on himself. And it's true. When you say we're ruled by pedophiles, we're ruled by pedophiles, and they'll say it publicly.
This pattern keeps on happening. Now, Senator Booker also said we should have bipartisan agreement. I think that's a great idea. We should have bipartisan agreement. How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? How about we all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles?
One more time, just to be clear.
I just can't.
We all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles.
Well, that's going to be replayed over and over and over and over again.
As much as I loathe Ted Cruz, that is not what I think he meant to say. I mean, yeah. I don't.
But as Peter says, like if the Freudian slip, what he meant to say and what he did say. Yeah. I was like, that's a hell of a coincidence because that's what we were all thinking you guys were doing.
Yeah. Well, I think in his mind, he's like, stop defending pedophiles because that is what they do. They do defend
this pattern keeps on happening.
I don't know why that happened again. But yes, that is an example of why this is such a big story and why I think it's relevant because, again, Epstein was probably a Russian spy.
Yeah, Tusk is he's the one that they've also rumored to be taking foreign money too by the you-know-whos. So I've heard that too. So him saying something that ridiculous is more of an indicator who controls him than any objective facts.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's absurd. Why would you even ever say something that
why would you wait
outside reality?
Well, and why would you wait this long? So after all these years,
the timing,
with all the Epstein scandal and all these years, this is now the first time you're first putting out a connection to Russia? It just reeks of desperation.
Yeah.
Poland to examine increasingly likely possibility that that's how they spell pedophilia. Scandal was co-organized by intelligence services in Moscow. I tell you, the problem is that
Israel had the office in Moscow. Other than that, I don't see how that would happen.
Right.
Well,
maybe they're setting them up. That was
what is that even about? Really? Why would you put that down?
What I like here is that I think it's Grok or just like one of those correctors that says Epstein files have many evidence linking him to high-profile Israeli officials, other than his accomplice daughter of Mossad agent Robert Maxwell. He also referred to himself as a Jew and non-Jews as Goyim. Moreover, he traveled to Israel in 2005 during his trial. Yeah, it's Israel. It always has been, it always will be, and they can say that it's Russia. And at this point, we can get upset about it. We could dig in on it, but it's not going to hold, even if Parliament in the UK is deciding that this is a good use of their time right now.
Government think Epstein may have been spying for Vladimir Putin. Is the Prime Minister concerned that Peter Mandelson may have been leaking state secrets, not just to a paedophile American financier?
Whose boots are he licking? Whose boots he licking? This man.
Well, you've also pointed out recently that the UK, in many respects, has even stricter they don't have a First Amendment.
They don't have a First Amendment. They've been having some serious crackdowns on their speech over there.
And yet this is just freewheeling shit that they could just throw in the House of Lords, just saying, oh yeah, it was totally Putin that did this with Jeffrey Epstein. Don't pay any attention to the Israelis.
Well, this is obviously somebody that's a Zio asset. That's just a Zio asset.
Yeah, we've got to really start referring to them as this. And the good news is
Zio tool.
But Eric, I'm sure from your perspective, you would agree that look, when they first pulled this bullshit back in 2015, and we all know it was about Seth Rich and covering for the release of the files through WikiLeaks. They came up with this Russia hoax bullshit. We knew what it was then. We know what it is now. I'd like to think not as many people are drawn into this, because I think so much of what people were drawn into and accepted the Russia hoax, if you will, at face value back in 2015, 2016, is because they can never contemplate the prospect of a President Trump. And then when it became reality, they could not come to terms with it. So they had to create a boogeyman to make an excuse as to why it happened. To employ this tactic now is such Bush League operation that you would think a 5-year-old could smell the rat.
It's like when Trump declared that the Jeffrey Epstein list was a hoax. It's like, all right, come on, like no, it had absolutely no traction in social media or anywhere. It had no traction. This is not going to get any traction. This is just going to be laughed at. This man just did nothing but injure his career, and I mean that it's just at surface value pretty absurd. They're trying to blame their own bad agent on their enemy, and it's just, this is not going to go
right
anywhere.
This is it right here. They don't want to admit that MI6 is involved.
I mean, we know the CIA is involved, so it's not really a stretch to say that MI6 is involved as well. That's the thing. There's these spying networks that exist all over the place, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but he's got a little bit more to say.
A Russian agent.
Well, Mr. Speaker, he talks of a public inquiry. Obviously, the focus now has to be on the criminal investigation which has started. As he knows, that investigation will go wherever the evidence leads it, and I've made it absolutely clear that the government will cooperate, as he would expect, with that criminal investigation wherever it goes.
Yeah, let's be honest. Starmer doesn't really have a spine, but if you think he's the worst defender of this so-called Russia hoax, which again, the fact that we're even saying it is lunacy. But Nigel Farage apparently had something to say as well.
Secrets. This is a potential breach of the Official Secrets Act. It involves the royal family, it involves senior members of government, and who knows, behind it all, maybe even Epstein could have been working for the Putin regime. I believe that this is bigger than Profumo.
Jesus. Whatever. I mean, that's just going to be laughed at. There's absolutely no connection, no nothing. What you said about MI6 and even American intelligence, I really believe that American intelligence and MI6, even the FBI, MI5, so they're all subordinate to the CIA, to Mossad. I don't even look at, very sadly, I do not look at the FBI or CIA in America as like in their own independent entity. I see them as a secondary apparatus to Mossad, where they've even shared information in a one-way trip. Like we share our information with them, but they don't have to share anything with us. The only information that Mossad, Israel, ever shares with us is stuff that is beneficial to them. So like, here's some bad guys, or, by their perspective, a bad guy in the Middle East, somebody that would be beneficial to them if we took them out. So that's all. It's ridiculous. I think the CIA and FBI, they have like 20,000 agents per year trained by the ADL. I mean, that's an apparatus of Israel. I mean, this is freaking ridiculous. And that's a self-admission from the ADL himself, the head of the ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt. I mean, this just get absurd how much detailed control they have in all of our institutions, including our intelligence agencies.
Well, it runs pretty deep. And it's been going on for a very long time. It's not like this is something that just started the other day. When you also have a substantial control over the banking system, that really does play a significant role. And yes, a lot of roads lead to the Rothschilds. We know that. But you can't, it's like what Lincoln said, and I still say this was Lincoln's greatest saying. You can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all the people some of the time. You cannot fool all of the people all of the time. And they have entered that phase where they're trying to fool all of the people all of the time, and it's not working anymore. And once it becomes a clear-cut lie, once it is evident that what you're doing is lying to the general public, you really only need to be caught doing it once, and then you lose all credibility. No one will ever trust you again, and nor should they ever. They shouldn't trust you in the first place. To trust politicians is a non-starter as far as I'm concerned, even ones that seem like decent people, and there's very few. But for those that are decent, you still have to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that there's follow-through. All too often, people like to cheerlead in this country. That's another problem.
My question is, if Epstein was in some way affiliated with Russia and was somehow a Putin operative, why isn't Putin mentioned anywhere in the Epstein files?